going on, everybody? My name is Mr. Hat, and today we are going to be ranking all the Rocky movies from worst to best. This is a franchise that I just went through for the first time in my life. Yes, I know, I should have saw them sooner. Whatever. This is a franchise of 8 movies total, Rockies 1 through 5, and then Rocky Balboa, and Creed 2. From 1976 all the way to 2018. Which one's the worst, which one's the best? Let's get into it, starting now. What's at the bottom of my list? Well, I think you saw this coming. If you've kept up to date with my reviews, then you already know the list because you watched them. But if you haven't and you're just watching this, it'll all be a surprise to you. Lucky you. The bottom, Rocky 5. We saw it coming. This one is the weirdest. It's the least fun. It's so depressing. And not in a good way. Yes, believe it or not, there are good ways for movies to be depressing. You know, sometimes it's depressing for a reason, but this movie is just depressing and it sucks. But that's not even the thing that's wrong with this movie. What's wrong with it? It doesn't feel like a Rocky movie. It has all these weird 90s rap soundtracks in it. Rocky's acting is worse. I know I call him Rocky all the time. I know his real name. Whatever, I'm calling him Rocky. Rocky is so much easier to say than Sylvester Stallone, alright? Just Rocky. But yeah, the acting across the board in this movie. Terrible. Villain. Terrible. Final fight. And isn't that really what this franchise is all about? Is getting to that final fight, and this final fight is on the streets, not in the ring. I like that, but I think for most people, they don't like it. This movie changes the continuity of the son. It's the actual son of Sylvester Stallone instead of the son who was just in Part 4. This movie takes place within a year of Part 4. Why is he a new kid? And Christmas Vacation shouldn't have been on the TV set, alright? That is some futuristic shit. They're watching futuristic movies. That makes no sense. Keeping Paulie around after he drains your account makes no sense either. Sure, he's family, but not really. Kick him out. But yeah, this one was just the weirdest. Even the poster for this movie is the weirdest. Look at it. It's terrible. Alright, next up, number 7. What is it? By the way, all these movies are good. They're not terrible. Even Rocky 5 has some decent moments. So these are all watchable movies. But my number 7 is going to go to the 2006 reboot, Rocky Balboa. And my biggest problem with this movie was it just felt so slow in the first 2/3. It was just so dramatic and trying to point fingers at the first movie and be like, remember this movie? The whole movie was just like the same thing as the first one. It wasn't doing its own thing. It was completely lacking in anything else interesting. There was nothing interesting about it. The characters, this bartender woman gets in there, she's just a new motivational speech giver towards the end, you know. It just wasn't a fun movie. Wasn't up my alley. I didn't like it, you know. It just kept trying to just be like, remember this? Oh, remember Adrian? Remember the Turtles? That movie also just had one of the scrawniest, least intimidating, probably number 2 on the list of least intimidating villains in this franchise, Mason Dixon. Don't even know him. Don't know anything about him. It's just stupid. The motivation to get back in the ring, some ESPN play 10, because that's what ESPN does all day. They just bullshit talk. ESPN, that's all they do. That's all they get paid to do. They just get paid to talk whatever bullshit they can think of. It just comes out of their mouth. But yeah, I just didn't like this movie that much. You know, it wasn't terrible, but if Rocky didn't exist, this movie would have been better, but it just copied another movie completely to me. So I didn't like it. So that's why it's my number 7. Number 6 is going to go to the sequel to Rocky, Rocky 2. This movie picks up right after the first one, and that's what I love about this movie is that it just is completely continuity galore. Just you could take out the credits, and this movie would just flow right into, the first one would flow right into this, and it would just keep going. It'd be like a 4-hour long movie. It's like Halloween 1 and 2, except, Rocky 1 and 2. There's just some weird moments in this movie, the whole dragged out scenario with him, doing the commercial. He doesn't know how to read. You got the Mexican priest. They're having a bilingual conversation like they did in Part 5. They do it first here, and I still don't like it. I didn't like it in Part 5, and I don't like it here. Why are they having a bilingual conversation? I do like that he wins. We get Creed. He's facing Creed again, except this time he wins. He, wins by, 1 second. They both lay on the ground. Creed's down 10 seconds, he's down 9 seconds, he gets back up. I like the final fight in this movie a little bit better than the first one. Or not, I don't remember. It's kind of fuzzy. All the final fights are kind of almost the same, but you know, just some are a little bit longer, some are shot better. This movie just had a pacing issue to me. Also, in the middle, it gets very like soap opera like, and it's like, oh, she's in a coma now. The baby was born a month early. Is the baby okay? We get some not so good performances from Stallone when he has to be all sad in the movie. It just kind of the pace takes a dive in this movie. Mickey starts to get more annoying in this film, more annoying than he was in the first movie. I didn't like his character. Paulie, I forget what annoying thing he did in this movie, but I'm sure he was annoying in this film. I know he was annoying in part 4 and 5. He was always annoying. But how annoying he was in this movie, I can't remember. But I'm sure he was a negative too. I fucking hate him. Don't know why. He just irks me. And I also just thought it was stupid how just Rocky blew all his money just like that. It's like, you didn't have like a game plan. You should have invested it, you know? That's just a nitpick, but fuck. Alright, number 5. My number 5 and 4 are kind of tied to each other. Like, a lot of these movies, like, they're just very close to each other. Like, they're all like almost the same amount of fun, or the same fun, just, they're almost like neck to neck. So 5 and 4 especially, these could go back and forth depending. I probably have to rewatch the movie I'm about to say to see if it really is at this number, but I might lose some of you here. But my number 5, Creed 2. This is the first one I saw, and I didn't understand a lot of what was going on. I was like, oh, who's this girlfriend? I guess he's dating her. You know, just I probably shouldn't have seen this movie first. I should have at least watched Creed before this one, but I didn't. But this movie kind of explained everything to me. Like, I didn't need to watch all of them, because in the movie they do the job of like, hey, in case you haven't seen 4, here's what happened. So the movie does do a good job to new people to the franchise. It actually it catches you up to speed, but probably should have seen Creed 1 before I saw this. Drago, the son in this movie, I think his name's Ivan. I think Ivan's the dad. I forget the son's name, but he's Drago. Drago Jr. is what we'll call him. Jr., he's pretty menacing. Like, one of the top 3 villains in this franchise. And I love that they actually gave him, like, motivation, you know? Like, they actually gave him a drive, the villain. Like, they focus on the foe, the bad guy in this movie, more than they do in any other ones. You find out what happened to, you know, Drago Sr., Ivan, you know, what happened to him after part 4, and how his wife left him. And I just love that they actually did that, you know, just, it actually gave them a reason other than like, oh, he's just an egotistical asshole who wants to beat Creed up, you know, because we've seen that before in every movie. Mr. T, just an egotistical asshole, and, you know, we get that too much, and I'm glad that they gave a little bit more reason and motivation behind the bad guy in this movie. Alright, number 4. My number 4 is going to go to Rocky 3. Most people put this towards the bottom half. I'm going to put it in the top half because I just really enjoy this movie. Like, this movie is just fun, you know? It's not serious like Creed 2, but this one's just more fun. That's why it's here right above Creed 2. But they're both right around the same. This one's got Mr. T. I prefer Creed 2's villain over this guy, but some people really love Clubber Lang in this one. You know, he's just a typical, you know, like, I think I could beat you up. You haven't had a real challenge yet. You face me, or I'll talk about fucking your wife. You know, that's what he does to get Rocky back in the ring. Talks about banging his Adrian. We get the Rocky statue that's built in this movie. This one's like the official start of like famous Rocky, and I love that Rocky's character like completely like morphs into like the stardom famous Rocky in this one, because in the first 2 it's like the same year. He's not famous really, but in this one he's officially famous and he's just soaking it in. He's doing commercials better now in this movie. This is the first 80s Rocky, and you got some 80s like atmosphere arcade games. That's probably why this one's above Creed 2. Maybe I'm being a little not fair, but whatever, it's my ranking. I thought the final fight in this movie was pretty decent. I mean, I can't remember the final fight in Creed 2 that well, but I'm pretty sure this one was, I don't know. I had to go back and rewatch Creed 2. I just like in this movie, he tires out Clubber Lang. You know, he's like, alright, I'm just gonna let you punch yourself out, and then when you're good and tired, I'll just land one blow and knock your ass out. Number 3. What's it gonna be? Creed, Rocky 4, or Rocky? Well, it's gonna go to Creed. It probably would be my number 2, except I just feel like this movie, it does borrow and copy some elements of the first 2 Rocky movies. It doesn't do too much different. It's kind of like the same movie, just shot a little bit better. I like the final fight in this movie a lot, but there's a couple other movies that I think were better. This movie had a pretty good pace, and we get, you know, cancerous Rocky in this movie. It's very sad. It's got some sad moments like a lot of these Rocky movies do. This movie's villain is probably what I think knocks it down from the other 2 movies I'll go over, but this one's villain, probably the chunkiest of them all, and like Mason Dixon, not really intimidating at all. He's British. It's hard to sound intimidating when you're British. No offense. British accents make you sound smart not intimidating. There's not too much to say about this one. I mean, this one, I liked it. It was alright. But let's go over the top 2, shall we? Let's move on to number 2. What's my number 2? Is it Rocky or Rocky 4? I'm changing things up right now, alright? I'm going to shock the world, alright? My number 2 is going to go to Rocky. For now, alright? It might change. But if I want to watch a fun movie, I'm going to stick in Rocky 4, alright? Just a lot more fun. But if I want to watch like an inspirational movie, the one that started it all, I'll stick this one in. There's nothing wrong with this movie, alright? So don't shit on me. But yeah, Rocky, that's my number 2, alright? I mean, it's the start of it all. It started Rocky. It's the reason why Rocky 4 even exists. But this movie, I've already said my piece on it, alright? I mean, it's decent. I think it had a little bit of a pacing issue, but I like that it's just about the underdog, you know, and this guy thinks he's just gonna get an easy paycheck and beat him up, and he learns his lesson. Rocky was a good movie, you know. I'm not gonna take anything away from that, so don't get pissed off that it's not my number 1. It was my number 1, but I decided to change it because I feel like Rocky 4 was just more fun and entertaining and drenched in that beautiful 80s atmosphere. It's very 80s. So yeah, my number 1 right there, Rocky 4. That's right, Rocky 4. The official 1985, middle of the 80s. Got Drago, the biggest badass of all the villains in this franchise. You got the robot at the beginning. It's got some funny moments. There is like a weird montage scene where he's like driving down the road. I would take that out of the movie. It was completely unnecessary. But I like the motivation in this movie. Creed dies in this movie. It packs an extra punch. Rocky has to go to Russia to fight. You know, Russia, this movie is like basically like the Cold War. It's Russia versus America. This movie was probably paced the best out of the whole franchise. I was never bored in this movie. There was no slow down moments. I thought this movie was probably the most fun out of them all. And that's why it's above Rocky, but they're neck to neck. So yeah, when it comes to the Rocky movies, Rocky 4 is definitely my number 1. Let me know what your Rocky franchise ranking is in the comments below. If you don't agree with me at all, that's okay, but you don't have to hit the dislike button because I don't go with the crowd that says Rocky's the best. No, Rocky 4 is more fun, so that's why it's my number 1. But what's your list? Put it in the comments below, and as always, you can hit the like button to support this video, and you can support my channel by clicking on my cartoon face in 5 seconds to see more, and until next time, Auf Wiedersehen.